Oh, and also Wash. Before we Destiny Origin. All right, fine.
Whoa! I'm sorting my
I was
inventory. I'm ADHD. Don't be ableist.
no, my friend. I was thinking that I was originally asking you to play Total War Warhammer 3, open a Cassian campaign, and play the Iron Dragon where we're talking about China with my voice of the Iron Dragon. I think that would be very comedic. He speak down there and I speak up here. All right, fine. I understand.
I genuinely feel like at the moment that would melt my computer because I have a couple of my fans shut off for maintenance. I genuinely don't know if I could stream that right now.
All right.
So, on the topic of 1 second of the Wandering Earth, it is a rather interesting topic to talk about. The person who wrote it, his name is Liu Zhongjing. Oh, my bad. Liu Cixin. Liu Zhongjing is a completely different Chinese political figure. An even more wacky one, but yeah, Liu Cixin. He originally had a degree in electrical engineering. Many Chinese people give him the nickname of Liu the electrician because of that. The funny part about him is that he is a massive incel before he started his career by writing The Three Body Problem. I read the book. I also read a lot of his shorts. I gotta say, he is a pretty good sci-fi novelist. However, most of his work and all of the things he talked about before he became a celebrity, because he actually has equivalent of Chinese Reddit account, and people doxed him, and we sort of know what his politic is. It's abhorrently fascist. He would one time he went on an interview. The host asked, if three of us, there's three people, a professor, him, and the host, who's a beautiful young woman. The question was, if three of you landed on a desert island. I know, sounds like a coconut analogy.
I'm ready.
It was not. The question was, what would you do? His answer was literally, me and the professor will eat the host. Because that preserve the civilization of humanity, because I'm an electrician and the professor is academic. So cannibalism, let's go. It was unhinged.
Kind of based, to be honest. Very direct. A lot of people wouldn't be willing to own up to that.
Oh, and another funny, interesting. He actually specifically talked about Uyghur concentration camp as well. He specifically quote. The media asked him, would you rather have... Oh, sorry, I think that he said it himself. Let me read. Would you rather that they be hacking away at bodies at train stations and schools in terrorist attacks? If anything, the government is helping their economy and trying to lift them out of poverty. He's referring to the event that not as bad as 9/11, but previous to the building of concentration / re-education camp in Xinjiang, there was a train station terrorist attack happened in Canton, I believe. It was 7 to 6 terrorists with machete, and they basically tried to slaughter people. I think about 30 people injured, at least a dozen people dead. I don't have the number on top of my head, but it was a lot of people. To China, it was a lot of people because people don't have guns. People don't have explosives. So what they can do was, my bad. It was not in. It was in Kunming, not in Canton. It was in Kunming. Because one of the only first time outside of Xinjiang that there were terrorist attacks that happened from the East Turkestan independent movement. My view on the East Turkestan independent movement is pretty mixed, because on the one hand, the self-autonomy of the Uyghur people should be respected, and it was promised by the Chinese government in its establishment. However, I don't think random Chinese civilians should pay for the brutality that was given to the Uyghurs by the CPC. So anyhow, the writer, the author of the Wandering Earth, as well as the Three Body Problem, his politic is very bad. The terrorism is bad, of course, but I don't think the Uyghur people deserve to be categorized as this block of potential terrorists and be treated as subjects objects that should be subjugated to a authoritarian control, especially in the form of concentration camp.
Yeah, it seems
back to the
like
movie.
It's,
oh yes,
yeah, it's like, I mean, I guess it's like 9/11, or it's like the concentration camps that we kept Japanese citizens in on the West Coast during World War II, where you know, you want to oppress a minority group and you leap at the excuse to as soon as there's any kind of pretext. Like, because I remember that a lot of the stuff internally within China was referred to almost like war on terror, right? With the Uyghur Muslims, it was like, well,
yes.
yeah, we need to do this actually.
It is a kind of not analogy, but step by step. If you look at the step by step comparison on the rhetoric against the Uyghur minority, as well as this general Islamic phobic rhetoric that was you can collect online or from the Chinese government, it was very similar to how George Bush Jr. did.
And sorry, I think I walked a little too long today at the zoo, but
got some exercise.
Yeah, it was all right. It's just, you know, the weather is getting a little cold, getting chilly. But where was I? Yes, the Islamophobia. I'll get back to the topic later, because it's actually a quite important thing that I forgot to talk about yesterday, regarding to Chinese government controlling the discourse. Regarding that movie, you know, the movie was originally written by this basically fascist person. And one of the other important producer who also bring a lot of money into the I would say the studio or the overall production is called Wu Jing. He is a very famous Chinese actor / producer. He's the person who was in the Wolf Warrior. You can see him like a Chinese Arnold. You know Arnold. I can't really pronounce his name other than making it
don't
sound
worry,
really
we
awkward.
can't either. I get you.
Yeah, and but imagine him be less muscular, because, you know, Arnold is one of a kind with his body reacting to steroids, and 10 times more misogynistic.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
This guy had been on a popular talk, and yeah, there was literally, yeah, you know, wow, the most famous guy who make overtly nationalistic propaganda, he also turned out to be a misogynist. Wow, who have thought? But he literally was talking. He had I think it was on a TV show, it was a talk show hosted by him, and the whole shtick is he's making fun of a feminine man. He's like, oh, I'm this big macho man, and then this is a feminine man, and I'm just gonna decide to bully him, and he's acting not like a traditional masculine man. That's so funny. Oh, it's so terrible, he's a degenerate. Yes, anti-femboy, as you may. However, he is a good actor, as, I don't know, Jim Carrey is a good actor, but he also have a lot of sway and influence over the production of this movie. So the movie itself was presenting China in this very unique, superior sense. Like, oh, none of you Western country can achieve what we Chinese are able to do, because you cannot put down some minor sacrifice of ethics or moral. We Chinese are so much better than you because we can actually band together and then do these things. And I think it just kind of speaks for itself when it comes to the reactionary and overtly propagandistic nature of this movie.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't disagree. I mean, I don't know anything about it personally, but I know, like, the one that my mind always goes to is the Mulan remake, where you have right, you have movies that are either from or cater to like a very specific revitalized kind of Chinese nationalism that seemed really obvious with.
Fun fact: my girlfriends cannot cry without cannot watch the original Mulan without crying because the song is too sentimental for trans girls.
It's a good movie.
Who is that girl? Right? It is a really good movie. It was banger songs. I can sing every one of them. But and despite having scenes like Chinese people eating dumplings with rice, which obvious. This is like someone put bread on top of pizza. And the both of the movie I would say is kind of Orientalist in his own right and kind of racist, like how Aladdin is really racist.
Mm-hmm.
Hakim, if I have to say, Hakim have one good take is his analogy on Aladdin. I think people should watch it. His analysis on Aladdin is actually a really good banger. People should watch it. But yeah, the new Mulan movie, gosh, it's so bad. It's not only just bad because they shoot it close to a concentration camp, but also it's just the whole representation is so off.
Yeah, and it was certainly not as good as the original. So specifically, because I haven't seen it myself, with regards to the three body, and the movies that have come out, which have apparently been received pretty well. I mean, they're popular, if nothing else. Like, to what extent is this being directed? Like how heavy-handed is the CCP being in sort of like managing its cultural export? I mean, is it known? Is that like a widely...
It's hard to say.
Okay.
However, the tone itself kind of say for its, because Wu Jing, again, the producer, who's also the main actor, he is... the Three Body, the book, or you mean the Wandering Earth movie?
Oh, the movie. Sorry, the movies.
The movie, well, I saw it, because I don't think we're gonna talk about the book. But the Wandering Earth, which is based on separate book that is written the same way. Wu Jing, who is also a producer and a main actor, the reason why he became famous, again, I think I said earlier, was because the movie series, the Wolf Warrior, it is the same term that the Chinese diplomats have employed for its own tactic, right? The Wolf Warrior tactic of the diplomat, which means over-aggressive, sort of almost a chauvinistic tone when they are talking to foreign adversaries. Mm-hmm. It is... Wu Jing actually pushed a lot of internal media that is overtly nationalist. When he got involved in any type of movie later in his later career, it all become extremely nationalistic in nature. So I'm not sure how much the Chinese state have strong involvement, but again, every single cultural product in China is created under the surveillance and the consent of the state. With this much money, the state is definitely involved, but I don't think it's directly controlled. There's a lot of way to overtly pushing narratives, stories, and great apparatuses to manufacturing a manufacturing consent, right?
So there's no getting away from it.
No, I don't think so. However, I do suggest people to watch the movie, not to learn something from it, but just learn something from it, but to see how is modern China perceived through Chinese media that is produced by Chinese people. I think it is very important that we learn. It's kind of like what is the best ways to learn American, how American perceive their own country, if not from a lot of Hollywood movies, right? By Hollywood exports American chauvinism and American imperialism, right? Like Marvel, for example, right? So I think we have a lot of valuable lessons we can learn by watching these things, not in a positive way, but just as a scene, or see it almost like a presentation. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, so hopefully the person who who asked me to ask you that appreciates that what I assume is far more of an answer
Thank you.
than they
One
expected.
more thing about the movie.
Even
I
more of an
believe the
answer than they
movie-
expected. Doubling up. Hell yeah, bring it in.
Sorry, just one thing. I believe, I need to look it up right now, is Xi Jinping's nephew involved in the movie? Because Xi Jinping's nephew is an actor. And in order to a lot of movie, in order to make sure it will release in Chinese market, they basically insert him in. It's like a life-saving ticket almost. Let me look up. Xi Jinping. 1 second. Jinping brother. And let's see, what is his name? Is this guy? I don't think it's this is him. No. Shoot. Sorry.
You don't need to apologize.
Oh, there he is. Let me see. Is he in? My bad. I don't think he is involved in here. No, I don't think he is in this movie. But yeah, no. So sometimes in order for a movie that is could possibly tread the red line, they would just get him on and then let him play a role because he is the nephew of Xi Jinping. It's a lot easier for him to get things passed.
He must be,
for example,
terrifying to work with.
Not really. I heard he's fine. He's kind of like a chill dude, even though his uncle's the Emperor of China. Oh, by the way, one movie he was involved is absolutely necessary for many people to understand modern Chinese history and just how Chinese Maoists, I'm not kidding, perceive Chinese modern history, is Let Bullet Fly. It's directed by Jiang Wen. So the guy who showed up in the Star Wars movie, Rogue One, the Chinese guy who worked with Tony Yan.
Oh.
The guy with a big gun. His name is Jiang Wen, one of the most prominent Maoists. Yes, he is a Maoist in Chinese movie, and he's one of the most famous Chinese director too. He's a huge name in China, and one of his best movie is called Let Bullet Fly. It's a very Chinese film. It can be a little hard to understand, but I highly suggest people to watch it. You can learn a lot about modern China from watching that film.
Thank you for the recommendation. I'm honored that a Maoist would deign to be a part of a Western production. That's very nice of them.
In fact, he even wanted to reject it in the beginning. It's like, screw you, Disney. I do not want to work with you. But his two sons, like, Dad, it's Star Wars. You gotta work for Disney. You gotta show up in Star Wars. We gotta tell all the kids, my dad is a character in Star Wars. And they're like, fine, I'll do it. Yeah, he's a funny dude. He is quite interesting dude. It's a very interesting record.
The
very
loss
good
of
director too.
many a principled position. The kids being annoying. So okay, well shit. Okay, I'll make a note of that recommendation. I'm trying to watch more movies right now as it is. So you said there were other things you wanted to talk about, which is great because as it happens, there were other things that I wanted to hear about. What did you have in mind?
All right, the first thing I want to talk about is finishing something I mentioned that you asked me, but I forgot to go through with you, is how Chinese government or Chinese media portray Greta Thunberg and climate activists. Remember, you told me, do they see them as national traitors? The traitor accusation only goes to Chinese climate activists. There are Chinese students who supported Greta doing like a little protest, taking a picture of them doing a protest and not going to school for a day. But her portrayal in China is shifting between she is the part of the global George Soros liberal cabal.
Of course.
To stop China from further industrialize and fucking themselves over in order for China to achieve the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. Maybe not necessarily going to say Soros, but it's, down the rabbit hole. They're going to call it whatever. They're going to call it the PC cabal. They're going to call it the liberal cabal. In fact, fun fact,
you know how your American left right winger use woke instead of PC now?
Yeah.
Chinese online discourse regarding although they regurgitate a lot of right wing talking point, the usage of term, how they coined the term, kind of stilted in 2016. They will call everything they don't like PC. In Chinese they call it 政治正确, and they will write it as ZZZQ because that's the Chinese pinyin synonym. And the newest example I would say is in the live action One Piece. You know, Usopp is played by a black actor, and then I think they officially announced that Kobe is trans as well as a crocodile, which awesome. That is awesome.
Kobe and Crocodile are both trans?
Kobe is portrayed by a trans actor.
Really?
Crocodile showed up as a woman, pre-transition crocodile, because she first showed up at Goldie Rogers' execution.
Yeah.
And she showed up as a woman.
Oh.
He showed up as a woman. I did not mean to misgender crocodile.
You are completely fine. I didn't know that. Shit. Maybe I will watch the live action.
Remember crocodile? Oh, I hope I'm not gonna spoil anything from the chatter who haven't watched.
Oh, don't no. You're spoiling the first like 0.1% of a long running series. This is their fault. It's on them at this point.
Indeed. Who hasn't watched One Piece at this point? Oh gosh. It's on you, chatter. Joke's on you. Anyway, where was I? Yes. Yeah, they got mad. Imagine Chinese people's reaction towards the Little Mermaid remake. Holy crap. Oh, they were furious at Halle Bailey because they don't know her music. I don't like most of modern Disney remake because I know it's a corporate product only used to make slobs and make money, right? And I do not like her acting. She's not a very good actor. However, I recognize her talent and I wish her a good career. I really do not like the Little Mermaid. If Disney truly have the balls, they at least would actually find a good drag queen to cast as Ursula. Can you imagine how much would it be a bop? We have a real drag queen Ursula, like doing the body language, right? Oh my gosh.
With our luck that they would have just gotten like, I don't know, the most conservative RuPaul adjacent drag queen they could.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah. Oh gosh. But yeah. So in China, if you look up Greta, they don't call her Greta because her name is harder to pronounce and type out, I think. But in China, they just call her the young girl who want to do environmentalism. It's called 环保少女. It's going to be a little hard to translate into English. And if you look her up, do you want me to show you the search result of if you look her up in China?
Sure. How do I spell?
It's in Chinese, so you're gonna have a hard time.
Okay, then I can't do it. I'm not even gonna try.
I can show you a screenshot. I can just give you a
sure,
page,
go right ahead.
And okay, I hope this is not gonna help Chinese government to track me down.
Oh yeah, well, be careful.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, G-Jack. Oh gosh, G-Jack, you stupid old swine. Because G-Jack have a very cringe take when it comes to Greta. I'm just a little worried. I'm not sure would this be a good idea. Okay. Let's wish my luck, guys. Hopefully, Chinese government not gonna track me down using this.
No.
All right, click it open. You can see the thumbnail, and you. Well, I already did, Vaush. It's already in the chat.
God damn it! You're gonna go dark on me.
Oh, can maybe I don't know. Can you delete it on your end?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, delete on your end. I will just send it on.
Oh my god, dude, it's the same.
You see, like, is universally
it's the same.
Yeah, it's always like, oh, how dare you? Like, it's like how the American far right portrays her, and this is the only voice you have in China. You do not have any opposition, left opposition in the to combat this narrative does not exist. this is why it's really scary, because in the West, at least you have a bunch of, useless lefty. However, in China, there is no environmentalist. There is no Baizuo to combat outright. Oh God, to combat outright talking points. Oh, and one more thing, funny thing. You know how Tenki would like to use the term Baizuo. Baizuo means white left or white leftist.
Yeah.
This is a term actually created by a person called Li Shuo. He is a far-right Manchuria independent movement leader. Well, not necessarily a leader because no one actually listened to him. But he was a kind of an internet meme. It's really funny how Tenki adapt a far-right Chinese person who currently live in New York. Well, the joke is that he lives in New York, Chinatown
It's
now, but
unironically
we don't really know where he is.
Such an incredible endorsement of the concept of globalism and multiculturalism that you go over to China. It's like, I wonder what they have to say about these issues. And it's just a bunch of people screaming like, cuck white boy, soy-ass, cuck woke beta manlet, fuck. It's like, I'm home everywhere. Everywhere on Earth is my home, you know?
And one more thing, Wash. If you go on this website and search the only two videos gonna be is the video of you critiquing G-Reg and your debate with Huz.
Really?
And your video of debating Huz was uploaded by a Chinese nationalist who works for Huz. He has a Twitter account where he worships Genghis Khan.
Okay, that's actually funny as fuck.
It is funny. The reason is because this person who worked for Huz is he belonged in a Chinese faction of far-right fascists who call themselves the 入关人, as in the people who enter the gate. It is analogy about that is referring to the historical event of the Manchus who blow up part of well, they didn't blow up part of a Great Wall, but they entered the Great Wall through a gate, and it's called Enter the Gate. That the act of entering the pass through the Great Wall. And so the analogy is that Chinese far right movement are like the barbarian who conquered the civilized but soy beta America. So the far right Chinese can live in big houses, eat steak, and fuck white woman. This guy works for Huz.
That's again, I'm home. Oh, the best part though is okay, because like all of the lunatic far right dudes over here in America are fucking white boy incels. But I imagine that over in China, they've got to be even more incel, right? Like the relationship between being unfuckable and being like a far right, like Han revivalist, Chinese nationalist, we will make Genghis Khan look Mother Teresa type. That has to be a strong correlation, right?
Like, Wash, you have no idea what it's like to be a Chinese leftist on Chinese internet. You're just going through your day, watching funny video, and then you go into the comment section to see what people's reaction. Regular stuff. Some guy all of a sudden start talking about political correctness is the West has fallen. It's all over. Million must die. It's the Jews. It's the white liberals. I'm like, what? You watch like a funny video about One Piece. Oh, One Piece, the newest chapter, wonderful. It's like, oh, I hope they wouldn't cast a character as trans when they make a live adaptation about this. Like, oh gosh, why my people? All 4,000 years of history and culture.
Yeah,
and like
it's
this.
Actually despair-inducing to think about. Like, I don't put that much stock in the longevity of culture, but to imagine, like, literally the oldest ongoing state. Like, and kind of, right? You've had a bunch of revolutions. But, like, basically, like, the longevity of Chinese culture. And then you have the Cultural Revolution. And then the Chinese government undoes the Cultural Revolution. And now, like, because of the internet and globalization, you go to, like, the Forbidden City. And you open up your phone. And within, like, 2 seconds on your, like, Chinese state government-approved Twitter feed, there's some guy talking about how Jews are bringing down the Orient or something. And there's, like, 5 Jewish people in all of China. Jesus Christ. It's
actually,
so fucked.
luckily, most when we talk about like Jewish anti-Semitic talking point, you wouldn't find that much Chinese people talking about Jewish all the time. If they want to have like a term, they want to coin the person who's or the group of people who are responsible for this. I joke you not, they're gonna say it's the Anglo-Saxons.
Really?
Yes, the Anglo-Saxons. One of the key and indicator of whether or not this Chinese is a crazy far-right nationalist is they're gonna use the term Anglo-Saxons, and in a very unique way. They will take the first two characters of the Anglo-Saxons
Nah, you're looking at chat.
and they call it Angsa. Or Yuesa. I think it's Angsa. And yeah, no joke. Anglo-Saxons. I'm so sorry. I have no respect to the Brits. Okay, I'm gonna call them whatever the pronunciation.
Yeah, it's Adrian Saxons. Actually,
Adrian Saxons.
It's so like unironically though, like Anglo-Saxons barely even exist anymore. Like the specific ethnic group at this point has been diluted with like the Normans and like it's just so weird.
Yeah,
it's like an unironic version of like believing in the Hibernian conspiracy theory or something.
Yes, indeed, right. But well, that's what it is. And it's quite fascinating to see how Chinese internet culture evolved into what we have today. So because I grew up in China, I got to see how the internet degrade. And through this, I want to talk about one really important thing, because our time is quite limited today. Or let's see how many things we can go through today.
Yeah, we're going to be powerful and efficient. I believe in us.
Wonderful. One of the things I really want to talk about is, remember the Chinese government controlling the discourse. This is how Chinese government, obviously also don't have a document to show you the evidence of how Chinese government coordinated this. But from my perspective, this is what I see. So remember I told you the Eastern Turkestan movement had a terrorist attack in China, and that murdered many Chinese civilians. Obviously, it was a horrible action that they committed, and the innocent people was killed. And after that happened, because there's already a sentiment in China, it's like, oh wow, we got a terrorist attack from extremist Muslim organizations. Chinese government immediately starting to utilize this sentiment, but they utilize it in a very unique way. Remember I told you there was a witch hunt movement against scientific media account?
Yes. Yeah, they closed it down.
And actually, before I talk about this, I want to talk about one thing just in case, like Tanky decided to club check me or try to use this to discredit me. If you look up Guoke, it is still an existing organization. The one that was disbanded was the Scientific Squirrel. However, Guoke as a website was only a former self of its past glory. The website stopped, the forum is closed, the website stopped updating itself for a long time. It only exists like a very small independent media residing on one of the Chinese social media, Weixin. And yeah, okay, I'll get back to that. So just in case someone's like, oh wait, no, this guy's lying. Like, well, Guoke wasn't dismantled. Look, they have this tiny little channel on Weixin, so you're lying or something. Anyway. So starting from 2012, 2013, racist Hanchu always exist. Chinese nationalists, you can always find them on Chinese internet. They're gonna talk about how much they hate other ethnic minorities. But previous to this move of the wave of Islamic phobic narrative, before it started, the perception of Uyghurs are more similar to how Europeans see the Romani people. They are thieves, that they couldn't integrate into the greater society of China, that they are bad actors. There's this sort of classist notion. And also, again, it is racist, but it was not we should put them into re-education camp. Mm-hmm. It's more like, it's more how Europeans see Romani people. Not direct genocide, but it was trying to, we should
either keep them away from the greater society, or they should try their best to become Chinese, because they never was Chinese in the first place. However, during this massive internet movement that over the years, after the terrorist attack occurred, there was a strong effort from a Chinese government part to push for narrative that directly form a Islamic phobic narrative that help China to create system similar to Patriot Act.
Mhm.
And it existed in a very unique way. It was created through memes. So Chinese people created, like Chinese nationalists who are Islamic phobic, created all these very, like, basically Chinese Wojak. Have you guys ever seen Chinese, like, panda people, panda face?
Yes.
Yes. It was like that, but make fun of Muslim. Like, oh, this is not halal. I'm gonna, you guys don't know what real halal is. It's like a really weird looking Muslim man, big Muslim man saying, you guys don't know what real halal is. And I will destroy your restaurant if you don't cook me real halal food. And then next meme is him lifting up his clothes and its bum tying to his chest. Like, I will show you what real halal is. It's, indication like, oh, the real Muslim are the terrorist Muslim. And Chinese government have the ability to remove things that they deemed offensive. Like, Chinese government on paper have the ability to remove memes like this. But instead, they will actually, yes, like that, but it's like
I'm sorry. I didn't search Chinese panda Wojak hate crime Muslim hate Islamophobe. I'll stick to these.
Let me just. I'm sure I can find some for you on Google Map. Not Google Map. That means Google picture. There you go.
All right.
Let me show you. I will send it on Discord.
Gotcha. That quickly. You're a seasoned warrior of finding hate speech.
Oh my gosh! Why there's so many Chinese capitalists on there? Oh well.
Yeah.
But the first few are a good example of that. And literally the first page. Oh my gosh! If you can find it. Yes. Click on the picture on the top left. This is a left on the left. One more. Yeah. This is a question posted on Chinese Quora, equivalent of Chinese Quora. Like, people ask questions and people answer. And the title of the question is, "What will be the end result of political correctness?"
It's the same. It's the same everywhere. Jesus Christ.
And the question is about a German Muslim girl was granted honor or something because she created emoji that includes like their clothes. And then Chinese people was like, oh well, we created our special emoji too. Yeah, it's like that. And Chinese government will selectively sometime ban the questions or delete their answer or really overtly racist stuff. I genuinely don't think out of the goodness of their heart or actually anti-racism. It's just basically stir up the flame. You're like making Chinese people somehow also think that by being racist, they are fighting against the system that is somehow racist towards the Han majority. And when Muslims are actually ended up in concentration camp, they deserve it because now they have touched the red line and then they got what they deserve. That's how I see it. Of course, obviously, I cannot provide you any real evidence, but I definitely have. Oh, and one more evidence saying funny thing. It's kind of like a really hellish joke. Mm-hmm. It's like a joke that is really just kind of bad. It's like I'm laughing at something that is terrible. We shouldn't really. I should just give you the story. Before this maybe got picked up by Western media, I'm not 100% certain about this, but in China, there are human resource websites, the places that people can post about, oh, I know a guy who wants to work in this industry. If there's any company want to hire him as like an electrician, this is his resume. And on some of these websites, after the concentration camp was built, you can find people saying, "Oh, I have this group of 20 folks, 20 good old Muslim, from the Xinjiang region, and they would want minimal pay. They would not fight back if you beat them. Okay, they will be very easy to talk to." Just as if someone break their morale and their mind. And if you want to use them in your company for any kind of purposes, you can send me an email. I don't think you can find that today. Maybe you still can. But I think that's pretty telling for
yeah, I'd certainly
also,
fucking say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too because after 9/11, you know, we had our whole war on terror bent with Muslims, but I think the attitude was a little bit less eliminationist with American Muslims, at least in that way. Like the overriding thing, I think, from a lot of Americans was like paranoia and fear and reflexive hatred, but the like they are second class citizens, they are dogs kind of thing never felt like it was very formally
Vaush,
laid out.
Yeah, because they're immigrants. We're the case about Xinjiang people, Uyghur people in Xinjiang, is that they are colonized, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
think
yeah,
about how
exactly.
America treated people in Middle East. America government didn't care about brown people in Middle East. They bombed the shit out of them. It's a similar type of perspective, I would say. Again, sorry to say this, but America doesn't have a clean record on how to treat Muslim people.
Is that true? I'm just hearing this. No, I guess it's interesting to me how much the dynamic changes with the perception of Muslims as the other, as opposed to them being the other, but also like an internal threat. Like you're right. It is the difference between a group being colonized and them being considered immigrants. Every Muslim in America is considered to be basically like an outsider who came here, but you can't do that with Uyghur Muslims because they're in the Xinjiang province and have been for a long time. So with them, like there has to be a different narrative. It has to be more overtly like eliminationist or overtly controlling. It can't just be like, oh, we don't want to deal with these people, because that's what they could have pretended to say about American Muslims, you know?
You do have a point.
And I think this could also be a good segue into one thing I want to talk about. I know this, like, again, I'm beating a dead horse again, providing again and again about like how bad China is. But I want to say one more thing when it comes to Chinese xenophobic, not xeno, yeah, xenophobic, is that the right term?
It is.
Like afraid of immigrants, yeah. Xenophobia, yeah. Chinese people obviously is really racist against black people. Not all Chinese people, but a lot of modern young Chinese people. And I think one of a good example is so when Chinese government actually formally import Western media, you know, when they say the N-word, there is an official translation of that slur. The Chinese directly translate to something that means like the black demon. Don't ever use that term. It's terrible, obviously. But Chinese racists, I don't know, because they're really racist, they translate that word. Instead of translating that, using the official translation, they use the sound translation. So they write the N-word in Chinese pronunciation. They find Chinese character that sounds the most like the N-word to say the slur.
In a way, it is a exportation of American racism to China.
That's so fucking weird. That's so strange.
It is. I think it is just a byproduct of importing American far right talking points. I'm not saying that like systematically there's a difference between how Chinese government and Chinese society treats black people and how America treats black people, because you know there's a significant different history there as a background. But the way Chinese public treats black people, black visitors, or people who studied in China, more of a like a xenophobia. This is where the Chinese Great Replacement theory comes in. A lot of Chinese Han, especially incel men, have a really strong fear towards black men, because just like racist white supremacists have strong, not satisfaction, but they have a not strong urge. They can't stop thinking about the concept of
Black cock.
cuckoldry of white people. Exactly. Where Chinese Han incels have the same problem. Especially with the stereotype of Asian small penis. Oh, it's even worse here.
We're all the same. Ironically, in their desire to separate us, the racists have proven that we are all literally exactly the same. It's the same everywhere. It's the same shit.
Obsession of black penis. Yeah, the obsession of a hyper masculized, otherized black body that exists in America and China, which really sucks for black people who live in China, which includes Obama's younger brother from the same father, currently resides in China.
He lives in China? Is that true?
He lives in China. Yes, He lives in China.
I didn't know that.
And he does not like his brother.
Yeah, well, no, he's a fucking lunatic. He is.
No.
I didn't know that. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he has to live somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of surprised, but not really, at the idea of the racist fetishistic dynamic being replicated to a T. It's just so weird. It's just so fucking strange to think about. But I guess, like, man, this really is like America winning the cultural victory, huh? Your average person in China is never going to meet a black guy. I'm totally stereotyping. I don't know if what I just said is true, but I think it is, and that makes
you can
true.
find more black immigrants in Canton, and that's where a lot of racism towards black people stem from.
But like I feel like, because in America, unless you're like in a very, very specific part of the country, you're gonna meet black people. It's just the idea of being obsessive over a racial group you've never, like, it would be like Americans like American far right types freaking out and doing cuckold fantasies about Uyghur Muslims. Like, have you met a Uyghur Muslim? That like
yes, the largest equivalent of Chinese subreddit that is the homeland of Chinese racism against black people is literally called the subreddit like r/ Guangzhou黑人 black people in Canton. That's literally like the center of Chinese anti-black racism. Like they're so obsessed over black immigrants in Canton. That's like the biggest community of racists. It's absurdly interesting.
It is interesting. Yeah, it's like, obviously it's horrible, but I guess, I don't know. I guess there's just something very funny about the idea of a bunch of far-right Chinese incels freaking out over black guys when they're never going to meet a black guy, in their fucking lives.
However, I want to say one thing that's kind of sad, though. You know how Andrew Tate and Sneeko are kind of being bullied on the internet, except for like 12-year-old boy who hopefully will eventually grow out of it and, I don't know, find a beautiful trans girlfriend like me. Chinese young men, or just Chinese people in general, is not gonna grow out of this. Like, I go to university in America, and Cheddar, if you're currently reside in UC system or in many top school or even in not so good school, you're gonna meet Chinese international student. How many Cheddar? Hyper or say yes if you have met Chinese international students.
Oh, I certainly have many. I grew up next to UCLA. They're everywhere there.
Chatters, in the future, if you ever run into a Chinese international student in your class or in your community, talk to them. Try to engage with them. Usually their English sucks because they don't bother to learn English. If you're not in like a really top school and they don't give a shit about their grade. But if you are in a decent school or you met a Chinese student who bothered to study English and you ask them about their politics, especially for men, you're gonna get some wacky results, especially the rich one. Like, I had a Chinese roommate who is the son of a powerful bureaucrat in China. That was very unfortunate. I thought I can maybe have some engaging in some in-depth political analysis of China. He bust out 20 slur in one conversation. The second day I met him, go completely mask off. And I'm like, how do you respond to that? I'm just like, what? Why do you hate black people so much? What did they do to you? I said, nothing. But they're gonna try to take over Canton. Like, oh my God.
That fucking...
You will never meet a black person except some like diplomat in your life because your family is too powerful to ever think about having black people to compete with you. And also, of course, he treat women like
I'm sure.
Yeah, obviously. And you can look this up. When during Hong Kong protests, there was huge amount of Chinese international students harassing, bullying, straight up just doing terrible things to Hong Kongese students who support their protest. And there were a huge amount of really wealthy Chinese international students jump into the fancy sports car their mommy and daddy bought for them. And they drive on the street, beep as loud as they can to show off how powerful China is. To show off how powerful their mommy and their daddy and their mommy is a good Better Call Saul. It's a Breaking Bad reference from So Good Man. But and like I can't fathom, other than have actual brain rot, can a tanky look at things like this happening and say China is a socialist country that respects worker. Like, dude, you literally see dozens of extremely wealthy children of oligarchs in their fancy sports car, marching on the street in their sports car about how much they hate democracy and support police brutality. There's no way you can get away with this other than you just close your eyes and then say, China, everything about what you're saying is live from CNN and CIA, And come to think of it, this may not be a good idea, but I always have this, Rosh, do you remember you have this joke about we should take all the tankies and send them to North Korea?
Yeah, that joke.
However, no, it's not about that. I want to genuinely ask fellow American MLs to rethink your position,
And the only problem that I see in here, that this analogy or this circumstance, is many white expect. If you look at a lot of tanky who went to China, their experience is great. And that is because they're white. This is the funny thing. Tanky, especially white Western tankies' positionality, why they have such a better life and why they can pick and choose which Chinese person to listen to, is because that their privilege built upon white supremacy and neoliberalism. When they go to China, their white supremacist white privilege, it's still there. White people are loved by Chinese people. Love white people. Like if you are white, you get free drinks in the bar. People are gonna be really friendly towards you because white to most colonized places represents wealth, represents power, represents knowledge, represents modernity. And their look, your aesthetic, your aesthetic is sort of propped by American popular media, right? Like if you are a white guy, naturally is gonna be perceived as more better looking, more attractive to a lot of people. If you are a white woman, white guy, doesn't matter which gender you are, you will be received with friendly faces. In East Asia in general, not just China.
I saw this recently with somebody saying that, like, even though China has been like pretty openly attacking queer people and femboys and crap lately, that they were queer and they went over to China.
It was the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, because
especially when it was a trans woman who's like, "Oh, look at me! I have this prescription from a Western doctor, and I can grab HRT." Do you know how hard it is for a trans person in China to get that? That the privilege how even they dare to say that line without to even consider
Yeah.
their own resemble their own privilege.
Well, it's like
baffling to me.
It's like being a white Westerner and going over to like Hawaii or going over to like Saudi Arabia and being like, hey, people say Saudi Arabia is like super brutal or whatever, but I went over to their capital and I went over to like a nice hotel and I had a great time and everyone was super happy and friendly. And like it's genuinely astonishing that that level of self-awareness is being displayed by people who call themselves communists. You know, it's like shocking.
This is why I mentioned about the thing you said, because I feel like even if we actually take them to North Korea, all they get is gonna have like a propaganda tour, and they're gonna come back to America and talk about how good North Korea is. And in fact, North Korea does exactly that. My family have been to North Korea. I went to North Korea when I was a child. North Korea is not it's not that good. It's not a socialist or anything resembles a like a prosperous nation state like many tanky would make you believe. Like American propaganda, in fact, is kind of accurate. Like they have casino. So in capital Pyongyang, if you are a visitor, regardless of nationality, you have to stay in one hotel. A hotel they made for these foreign visitors, and you have to stay there. All of your tour are directly led by a guide who's also gonna be the government agent who basically makes sure you don't go to weird places. And there's cameras everywhere, but inside the hotel there is a casino. You can use dollar and RMB to basically play cards there, and the government take money from that. And there's literally state-run sex worker, like for rich Westerner and Chinese and North Korean bureaucrats. North Korea it's leak. It's not great. Like if Tenki wants you to believe something is like the North Korea is good, just look at how Chinese media portray North Korea. The way Chinese media portray North Korea is not that dissimilar from Western media depiction of North Korea. And from my own eye, it's pretty freaking accurate.
Yeah,
they even check your camera before you leave the country. That's if anyone want to know what North Korea is like, they literally will check your camera before you leave their country.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things where like, the West doesn't really have to lie to make North Korea look bad. I think the problem is that a lot of lefties have adopted the same attitude towards the crimes of these countries that a lot of right-wingers have when it comes to basically everything, where it's right-wingers caught on to the fact that media lies sometimes, and as a consequence of that, now anytime the media says anything they don't like, they can be like, well, this is fake, actually. It doesn't matter what the evidence is. This is fake now. And likewise, with like, China or North Korea or Vietnam or whatever, like, because Western media has lied and does lie, therefore necessarily any negative information about those countries, whether it comes from me or from you, it's all deep state shit,
Yeah, I'm totally a CIA agent. CIA agent Dino. I'm a dinosaur human. I literally a half dinosaur, half human amalgamation created by CIA in a lab. I'm right now typing using my big reptilian bird claws with feather on my arm. I have sharp teeth. I eat raw meat. Yeah, gosh. Yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah.
we're a bit over, but I have a bit more in me, I think.
Okay.
Was there anything else that you had in mind to talk about?
Yes. Two more things. I'll try to make this as quick as possible. Okay, so one of the next thing we're going to talk about is how China places itself as the Orient.
Funny thing, the way China, not necessarily places itself as the Orient, but how it perceives Xinjiang and Tibet, the East Turkestan and Tibet. To China, the way they look at they look at Xinjiang, Tibet are kind of like how the West look at the Orient, like traditionally Orientalism. Xinjiang and Tibet are seen as this uncivilized and pre-industrialized block of harmonical culture that that can be exploited, and Tibetan Buddhism and Tibetan culture are viewed in a similar tone as how Western world view China in 1900s. The Orient's Orient, I call it. Mm-hmm. It is fascinating how China sort of turned this Western narrative and gaze to their own subjected people, through their narrative and subjugation to these ethnic minorities. And another thing is, we don't have enough time, so I'm not going to give that much example other than we'll just type the name of the guy. You might just look it up. He was a young Tibetan that was heavily sexualized by Chinese internet and fetishized by kind of officially by Chinese official media, like literal state media. Another thing is sort of how China trying to, like, from the last conversation, asking this question, is China form this block? Is China a united sort of cultural block? Well, it's absolutely not. However, the CPC want you to feel that way. Ever since the 1900s, where the Western modern movement started to reach China, one of the guy called Liang Qichao, he was a very famous scholar in the Republic of China time. He created this conflict, this almost dialectic between the East and the West, positioning China to the unique Westernness. This is why to today, Chinese people perceive modernization as Westernization. I mean, a lot of countries do this. But China, it put itself in a more unique position because it's literally the definition sometimes for the Orient, right? And it want to create this unified Han or Chinese identity that is kind of a jambalaya of many different things mixed up. So within Chinese language, we don't just call ourselves Chinese. There's a lot of terms to differentiate different type of Chinese people. Like, for example, if I am born in China, moved to America, I will be called a Huaren. If I'm born in America, second generation, I call myself Huayi. But in English, they're all called Chinese. Or Chinese people in China, Chinese. Chinese Han, Chinese. It's the same damn term, but the Chinese government love that shit because to them, a united concept of China that is directly equivalent to CPC narratively helped them so much. If America can't stop this demonization of Chinese people within their border, like when conservatives do all Chinese people are bad, it helps China narratively because all of these rich Chinese people who moved here, they could just move back. Yeah, because they don't want to be discriminated against, right?
The Chinese government loves that shit. When like American conservatives start like blaming everything and everyone about China for COVID. Israel as well. The Israeli government is constantly.
That's what I want to say.
Yeah. Conflating Jewish
Zionism to anti-Jewishism. Yeah, it's the same thing. They are very similar on this regard because just like Jewishness, Jewish people, Chinese people are a diverse group of people that have traveled around the world. Like think about Singapore, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Chinese Malaysians, Chinese Americans, Chinese Germans, Chinese Brazilians. They are all Chinese, but with different aspects of culture. They have their own, customs. A lot of them even have their own language. But to Chinese government, for all of them to be perceived as for them to be the only China, and all of these Chinese can be the same hegemonic bloc, helps China, the CPC's rule, so much internationally. And this is the thing why I hate this narrative from the conservative or just a lot of American, like for Pompeo, right? Like how many times he have sprout out racist rhetoric against Chinese people and in America. And that's just, this is a little bit of conspiratorial posting, but like Chinese CPC have a strong tie with the American conservative faction. Like, for example, Mitch McConnell's wife, Yilan Chao, Zhao Xiaolan, she was her her father is the CEO of a really big transportation company that also have a strong interest within China. He was one of the first Taiwanese company that invested in China, and I'm not saying that she is like bought by China. I don't think so. I think, but she has strong tie with the CPC, and oftentimes she directly will contact CPC officials. Like when she was in Japan, I think in 2019, 2019, yes, she had 2020. She had a secret meeting with a very high profile, high-end official, Wang Qishan. I think I remember it's a little bit conspiracy posting here, but there's no concrete evidence for any of this. I can't. They won't. Chinese government won't have an official tone for this. American government won't have an official tone of this. FBI did a investigation on Yilan Chao, but she was proven, kind of clear. Also, the GOP had a huge amount of effort to. Well, I mentioned, Chad, I mentioned Guo Wengui yesterday, but Mitch McConnell pushed really hard to make sure that feds don't get any name on his wife. Otherwise, he will be cooked, right? But it's kind of like the bourgeoisie, international bourgeoisie class, have a united interest to fuck up proletariats. And Clinton, like neoliberalism, American neoliberalism, cannot function without a functional China. It is the world's factory, after all. Without a stabilized China, the current American economy will collapse. This is why, if you look at how Biden, the way he dealt with China is this: like, okay, I know you want to challenge my hegemonical power, but how about we step back a bit. We strike a deal that both parties can benefit from capitalist. Like, basically, how about we strike a deal so we can fuck up the Chinese and American working class, and we can profit from it. And no one talks about that. Like, American leftists see Chinese government as some sort of this challenging force that can bring a somehow effective challenge to the American hegemony, which is laughable. Goldman Sachs, one of Goldman Sachs' high executive, is the grandson of the third president of China, Jiang Zemin. Like, if you look at this type of track record, how can you even say the CPC is even socialist or even can pose a threat to American hegemony? It will never do it, even if the kind of challenge you can propose, it's solely for the business. It's solely for the business. Oh, sorry, I know I'm a little bit rambling here, but it's a lot to cover.
I can't believe that you're personally invested in this, and that you're not just dispassionately talking about, your fucking home country going to shit. I mean, I feel like more so than anything, the biggest frustration has to be that all of the people who feel like they should be your allies over here,
yes,
are working against you and regurgitating.
They call me race trader.
Yeah,
and
calling you a race trader.
And it's a sense of powerlessness that have almost caused me to have depression when I was in college. It was really bad. Oh God.
Well, hopefully things do get better.
Speaking of, don't worry, I'm doing much better now. However, the last thing I want to talk about, if we have more time, maybe I can do a little more, but this may be the last thing we talk about tonight, is the East Asian American experience. Watch, this may sound a little off, but how many famous Asian American film actor can you talk about?
Okay.
Can you name?
I would like to preface this by saying that I'd probably do pretty poorly if I was asked the same question about any racial group, but I do not know the name of a single.
That is true. Yes.
Yeah, I cannot remember the name of a single actor. It escapes me. It eludes me entirely.
And I don't blame you, Vaush. First of all, you don't watch that much movie.
Second of all, a lot of them don't get important role. And one thing I would really want to mention about is, even though we have seen a little bit of more representation of East Asians in the American culture products, however, a few things. This is gonna be a little bit rambling. Maybe I can collect my thoughts together, have more contextualized analyzation of this. Have you heard about Aquafina? I don't think you did. So Aquafina is this Chinese American female actress. I have a very complicated feeling towards her. On one hand, she is a marvelous actress. Some of her movies truly show she can do really good performance. On the other hand, the idea of certain ethnic minority actors, either they do this on their own will because they want to make money, or they were forced to do borderline racist casting because they only allowed to play these roles. She been playing, okay, not a seagull. She was playing a northern gannet in the Little Mermaid, and she is this utter clown in this movie, despite her skill be able to carry her in a better role. And also, this may sound a little weird. Aquafina and also the guy who plays Shang, they're like the new most famous actors and actresses to represent all East Asians. But if you look into their track records and also how these representations are done, there's so much improvements can be done.
Mm-hmm.
Asian American actors, I quote James Hong. When the OG Chinese actor, I mean, he's one of the most famous role before like 2000 was from Little China, Big Trouble, which is a deeply racist film. Like films, a cultural product that involves Asian culture is seen as this sort of like a culture that can be easily taken by the Western cultural hegemony so easily. Like, think about, I know everyone loves Ninja Turtle or Ninjago, right? Like stuff like this.
Yeah.
But why is East Asian culture that is uniquely commercialized and commodified in the Western world? No one talks about them. If a similar type of trope that's similar to East Asian were played to like how Stevie Gonzalez is like Warner Brother don't even talk about it. Looney Tunes don't show them anymore, or like stereotype of black people. Like just like we all commonly like no, okay, this is problematic. We can't show it. But East Asian representation, unless they're overtly racist, were never challenged ever by anyone. Right? Most East Asian, this made most East Asian or just Asian actors in general, like for example, like I forgot his name, but Rajesh from like Big Bang Theory, or like Tom from Parks and Rec, or that short Asian Korean restaurant owner from The Broke Girls. Asian people can only play one role: the quirk, nerd, unattractive dork. Because that's how Asian people are perceived in America. And I'm Asian American, it's hard for us to sort of step away from this type of stereotype. If all the cultural product depict us in this way, or when we talk about our original culture from China or from Japan, can be utilized by anyone, often with disregard of how
Just
we
one
want to
moment.
perceive ourselves.
What?
Please.
Your internet? I'm sure it'll reconnect. I mean, I'm clearly still... It should come back soon. Apparently the Wi-Fi cut out. My apologies.
We can hear you correctly.
Yeah, no, I'm on wired. I guess the Wi-Fi is just being
Oh. Well, good luck to your Wi-Fi.
No, I was listening. I didn't miss anything you said. Please continue.
No problem. It's just every time when I see how Asian people portrayed in media before the 2020, it is always stereotype. caricature joke of a character. They are never given, like for example, Tom from Parks and Rec, a supposed to be left-leaning liberal show, are always portrayed as this counterpart of Ron Swanson, the muscular, macho American white man, and Tom, this like easy to cry, small, quirky, not attractive beta male. Why do we have this? Why Asian people have to portray this type of character every time we see on the silver screen? Why? Right? Like, and the leftists are. I never hear anything from them to give any criticism towards this. Zero. And just this is just a thought. I don't know. Do you want to say anything?
No, I mean, I agree. I think it's a real issue. I also think it's particularly ironic that because like the American far right is postured towards identifying quote unquote like enemies of the white race, and presumably the Chinese far right does this to a large extent as well. But it's funny because like everything you're talking about right now is exactly what those far right Chinese people would refer to as like PC bullshit. Like all of the actual racism that they experience over here, it's not from black people in the one fucking city you mentioned or whatever. It's like it's stuff like this, It's the exact kind of progressivism that they hate to acknowledge.
Absolutely. And it's just really sad. I don't know. I mean, there is a change in the market. I mean, heck, Michelle Yeoh won the Best Actress from Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I highly suggest everyone to watch. So is what is the name? The actor who Everything Everywhere All at Once. What is his name? Vietnamese Chinese Vietnamese American. Ke Huy Quan. I highly suggest everyone to watch that film. It's amazing. If you don't like that film, you are a white supremacist. Sorry.
Shit. Yeah. The clock is ticking for me.
Yes. Anyhow, the last thing I will bring up is remember the noodle drama, the noodle book?
Yes.
The dumplings and noodles. Well, Keffel did make sort of like I guess unsensitive joke, but it's fine. We love Keffels. The thing I want to mention is that like when we're talking about when left-wing voices bring up like Asian people, they choose the worst actor for them all. Rosalind. She is sorry to say this, but she's the worst. She's not Chinese. She's Filipino. Like I don't know why she wanted to like talk over Chinese people on this topic of cooking my culture's food. From what I can see, the white lady who wrote the book, she did a pretty good job of cooking my culture's food, and from what I can tell, she has a long dedication of studying my culture and and the food and everything from I see. She's relatively respectful to acceptable, definitely acceptable. I think it's perceived acceptable. She did a pretty good job.
But she's white.
But that's not. Well, we should criticize if we want to. If Rosalind's criticism is that white supremacy as a system benefits white people disproportionately, we should criticize the system, capitalism, and the publishing industry that favors white people who write these books, not individual white actors who, given their due diligence and respect to my culture, right? Like should I criticize every single yoga mom because yoga is from India? Or should I criticize Captain America's actor because, you got to represent the big, macho, handsome man, America's ass and all, and then Chinese, fun fact, Simu Liu is not a conventionally attractive man in Chinese standard. He's, as well as his father, like the person who played Wenwu, the Mandarin, is ambiguously extremely attractive. Everybody in China even consider he's one of the most attractive men of his time. Simu Liu, on the other hand, he might be more attractive in American standard of Asian people. That sounds kind of icky, right? As well as Aquafina. One of maybe the real reason
mean hers because of this. Maybe I need to re-examine my personal biases, huh? Right.
Oh, sure. Well, yeah. Now we got to get into the misogyny thing. You know, we've pointed a lot of fingers in other directions, and now we're coming back to you. Could it be that you, in fact, were
Yes,
actually the
yes.
woman hitting incel the entire time?
Well, Asian woman in America face in this unique position, right? Well, all power to Aquafina. I think she did a many fabulous job in many of her production. She's a fabulous actress. All power to her. But Asian women, are always perceived directly to because of their perceived Asianness, are uniquely more feminine, which is like this carries back to like 19th century Orientalism, right? The idea of Orient, this strip away the subjectivity, naturally forms a feminizing aura towards the East. Orientalist painting in the 19th century usually depicts this barbaric man but extra feminine women as a strong element of how Asian people are depicted in media, which never went away. This is why white supremacists love to talk about Asian women, because to them, Asianness can only be submissive, thus feminine. It is the traditional political perceived gender politic from the perspective of Western man.
Which we
This
have
is the part where
culturally exported, yeah. Which is like,
Yes.
multiculturalism wins again.
Well, I'm not saying that you shouldn't date Asian people if you want to. Go ahead, but date whoever you want. But in the same time, if you date Asian women because you have a strong fetish towards them, that's just fucking racist. That's just really weird.
And also, when I was talking about Aquafina, please don't take this as the wrong takeaway. My point is, it stems from her career choice. Maybe don't play a bubbling Northern Gannett next time, but person that can better represent our culture and make a more positive model. I know this. I'm asking too much, but it's yeah.
Well, I think people here will agree with you. If not.
We need more Storm Dragon instead of Northern Gannett. You know what I mean?
Yes. We're half an hour over. I feel like I could listen
Yes,
to you
we
talk for a really long time and sort of lose track of things.
Thank you.
I'm sure you've heard this before. You have a very excellent voice. Jesus Christ.
Seriously, maybe one time I should just do traditional Chinese storytelling of Journey to the West in the background, and while you are whatever doing playing a video game or something.
True,
I think that would
seems
be
like
a
it'll
funny
work.
rule.
No,
Yes.
yeah, well, I am sure that you will be on again, so I don't think we'll have any trouble with that at least. Thank you very much.
A few requests.
Oh no, please. And
I
also,
hope I'm not asking too much.
Also, a lot of people were asking if you have any socials that you'd like to share, anything to that effect.
So about social, I am a little bit concerned about leaking my personal information through a Twitter account. However, I am putting this into serious consideration. If I actually create a new social media account just for this identity, as well as if I create a YouTube channel, I will. Vaush, would you mind to have a shout out for us, maybe in the video?
Sure,
When
absolutely.
you put up the segment, I will email you my Twitter handle as well as the YouTube channel. Underneath the segment that you will put up, please for Tempest to put it in the description. I think that will be very helpful.
Yeah, just message
well.
or email me and I'll see it.
Yes, and as well as a shout out for a friend, for President Sunday. Yes, I talked to Sunday for a long time now. Yes, and Sunday have a small request so I can tell you. He think you should give him perms so he can raid in next time, and also tell the Vaushites the squid send their love.
I have no idea what perms to raid in means, but I'll clarify with President Sunday. I have a lingering feeling that I might have had this exact conversation with him before, and that I just have a very bad memory. But yes, I'll re-clarify. Thank you so much for coming on twice, dude. I really appreciate you taking the time.
You're welcome.
Oh, one last thing, Vaush. I don't know would it be allowed. So the video they may literally not allowed to do this. But when you put this video on with this big edited video, can you put the Iron Dragon on the thumbnail? like a cutout of the Iron Dragon.
Tempest.
Human form, not in the dragon form.
Of course, Tempest. All right, we're signaling the call. If they
Okay.
if Tempest and Ryan do their jobs properly, they heard that. Okay, you shot up the bat signal.
And also, I know I'm pushing the line a little too much. Two more things.
Go right ahead.
Just before I go, is this video gonna be on the Vaush pit or the Vaush channel? May I be informed of?
For a casual 3-hour combined conversation, this is absolutely going on the Vaush pit. I'm sorry, and I love you.
All right, don't worry.
That's the algorithm. You're gonna have to take that up with Google.
And okay, one last thing. I am really pushing the bar, pushing the envelope.
Oh, chat's mad at me now.
I know many chatter is asking me this. So I'm gonna represent the will of the people, like the Chinese government this time. Would I get a blue name?
Oh yeah, wait. Yeah, you've been on twice. Yeah, for sure. Easy clap.
I'm gonna have a blue name. This is truly the most honorable thing I have done. Oh, speaking of Vaush. Okay.
Yeah.
I know you probably will never do this, but in the future, if anyone bring up all the faceless accusation of you, can you repeat after me, okay? Do not listen to the slander of me. I am my father's most honorable.
Can I just play that on like a Can I play that on a voice board and just repeat that whenever I get slandered?
Yes, you should do that.
I don't think I can match your voice. I think
Well,
that like,
I am
if I
sure.
tried to do that after you doing that would be like when Simba roared after Mufasa did. I don't want to invite the comparison.
And when the tanky or the other people harassing you was laughing like the hyenas, a Dino Man showed up behind their back and just repeating this in his real voice, scaring them away. Like
Roaring loudly.
Well, but yeah, I am sure your father is very proud of you.
I hear that sometimes. Thank you so much for coming on. I know you will again. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know chat does as well.
Yes.
I gotta read donos, then disappoint
Thank
them
you
by
so
ending
much,
early.
Yes. Oh, don't worry about it. It has been a blast, Vaush. It is, yes, thank you. If you in the future you have any question regarding to China or anything about, it means a lot of things. I don't know, Elder Scroll lore. You can, or D&D lore. You also ask me. I probably also send you those restaurant recommendation as I promised before. Okay.
Please do.
And
you can tell me about it next time too. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Of course. Have a wonderful night.
All right, bye-bye. Yeah, I know. I play Total War Warhammer. I'm familiar with the Iron Dragon. Thank you.